Okay, so my name is Ken Shemroske, and I'm in Computer Information Systems. My course was our survey course. Actually, it's our survey course for all the business students, so it's not just the IS majors. And this particular course has a bunch of different technologies that we have to use, the students have to use in there. So it was a bit of a challenge. And I'm most thankful for Larissa, boy, did she help out a ton. In terms of things that I would say were accomplishments, I mean, I was kind of fumbling with a lot of stuff here. I mean, one of my big concerns starting out was just how would I do exams? Because exams, you know, the ones we do face-to-face, they're all multiple choice. And how do you prevent students online from cheating in a multiple choice environment? So really, what we decided to do was get rid of those altogether. And I went with what we call journal entries, used the journal tool in Blackboard, and had them write up basically what essays would have been if I put essays on an exam. And I think it worked well, actually. At least I was pleased with a lot of the answers, and I think it really was the dividing point between those that did well on the course and those that did not necessarily do that well on the course. The downside of it is that, boy, was it a lot of grading, because it was several essay questions every module. And I'll show you here. So if you saw the first time around, another thing that I think worked out really well was the organization of this course. Again, I can't really take credit for that. Melissa had all the suggestions, and she worked all that up for me, but it worked out really well. So there are 7 modules in here, and they're all kind of laid out the same way. When you get into one, the first thing you see is here's all the stuff that you're going to have to do in the module. And I really just recreated that for every module, changing the content. You know, otherwise it would make pretty much the same. So we had videos for them to watch. There was always videos around the content that was in the book. And then I had some specialty videos about the technology. So there was a handful, and I gave them. So we used the VoiceThread tool, which allows you to actually create an assignment for these and give them points for watching the videos, which we did. Although we did find there was a glitch, and it turns out that the VoiceThread environment was really made up such that you're supposed to import a PowerPoint presentation and then make voiceovers using their tool. When you don't do that, you can't make it an assignment. So I was creating these actually in another tool called Screencast-O-Matic. And the reason I did that is because I needed to pull up on my desktop the technology that I was using and go through it to show the students, you know, this is how it works. And VoiceThread doesn't let you do that. So I'd create the video, and then I'd put it in YouTube, and then we would import it into VoiceThread. The VoiceThread wants those comments. That's how it measures whether or not the students are actually watching the video. So we put a little comment in there that said, you know, hey, if you have any comments or responses to this video, please leave them here. And if anybody caught on, all you really had to do was watch that little 10-second comment, and they got credit for the whole video. They didn't necessarily have to watch the whole thing. So I guess VoiceThread is working on that. But in case any of you go down that path, right, that's something to keep in mind. I put matching exercises out here. So again, in that whole assessment and repetition thing, trying to have multiple facets towards assessment, watching the videos, gave them points, and then the matching exercise was supposed to reiterate that whole, are you reading the book? And it was pretty much just terms and definitions that I put out there. Used the Blackboard tool to scramble them up so if they did it multiple times, if they were with somebody else that was doing it, it wouldn't look the same. And then there were a couple of papers that we had. One of them was in the first module, and another one was supposed to be actually in the 5th module. It didn't work out real well in the first module. So what I did was, instead of having them in the face-to-face, I have them do a group paper, and really hard to have them do a group paper in this environment. So instead we built a discussion board, discussion thread, and we put some requirements around having them make so many contributions. I actually gave them some guiding principles. So they had to respond to 3 different threads. They had to cite where they got their information for their responses. I think part of it was just that it was the very first module that they had to do this in. And, you know, they got to, because this was summer 3, and we didn't even have 4 weeks, and there's 7 modules in here, they had basically 3 days to get through this. You know how it is, right? They didn't log in until probably day 2 of the course. It meant that the last minute they're trying to put a multiple person discussion board together out there. So I'm going to try it again. In fact, I may try it in the face-to-face class this semester, and I've got more time, and I can actually explain to them in the classroom where they need to be and how quickly they need to be getting at it. I think that's it as far as things that I would point out as exceptional or different in some way. Has it changed my perception of online teaching and learning? Absolutely. I mean, So working with Larissa, like I said, she's just been a gem, and a lot of things that I didn't even realize I could do in that environment, whether it was the tools or even just what other people had done and had success with, really kind of, it's made me feel better about it in any way. Was this course perfect? By no means. And I think there's lots of things I still need to work on, but I think it was a much better attempt than the one other time I tried it several years back. And so I'm definitely looking forward to revamping this and maybe running it next time. Questions? Feedback? Yeah.
Did you break your modules into one for each week?
So actually, there were one for every 3 or 4 days, depending on the module. So this first one was 3 days because it didn't have as much content. Module 2 was 4 days because it had a project in there. Module 3 was 4 days because they had a lot of tutorials they had to go through. But there was only 23 days or something in the summer 3 sessions, so it was really tough. That's another thing that I'm going to, so our person in charge of scheduling over there in business college, I asked him next summer if we run this, make it at least a 7-week course. Because it was just too hard to fit all of this in that short time period.
Were the modules released by calendar dates or by like adaptively as I finished module 1, would it get module 2?
So actually, as soon as I finished them, I put them out there. Okay. And before the course started, I had the first 4. And then the last 3 kind of, trickled in as I got them completed. But they had all the way through 7 with, I think, a week left, at least a week left in the course. And then I did have expiration dates on them, so when module...
Yeah, that's good.
That's your motion. All right. So when module 1 was, all this stuff was due, they couldn't see them. Anything else?
I have mostly sophomores.
Yeah, it is mostly sophomores. We did get a couple of juniors in there. There's a 30-hour prerequisite on there, so we don't have freshmen in there.
The 2 credit hour class? Or
3.
Do you know if we had any first-time online learning students?
I don't.
No. Okay. I was just curious.
And how many students did you have? I mean, obviously that was a lot of work in
Yeah, so
3.5 weeks.
So it started with 33. I think I ended up with like 28 or something by the time all was said and done.
Yeah, talking about building or flying a airplane while you're building it. Because, yeah, kids' course is a little different because he was actually teaching this course while going through the summer SVP. So it was trial and error right away or something.
So have you done other online courses before?
I did one other one, like I said, a few years ago.
Okay. Did you find this a lot easier for the students to navigate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's just so much more organization to it. And like I said, Larissa brought all these best practices to the table, which, I mean, they were just invaluable. So I think I really didn't get hardly any feedback from the students in terms of them saying anything was unfair or unreasonable or difficult. Right? I mean, there was a couple that wanted extensions of the deadlines, which I just wasn't offering because the time schedule was too short. There was one student that wanted to start the course a week in after they'd already missed the first 2 modules and half of the 3rd one. So, but that was about it as far as feedback from the students. Right?
Were they contacting you, or how much contact did you get?
Yeah, I would get emails. A couple of them left some comments on the videos, not many at all, really, but mostly emails. I left, so I put a general discussion board out there for them to, anything and everything that they wanted, and I think I might have gotten 3 or 4 posts to that. And then in every video, they had an opportunity to leave comments, but mostly it was email.
You've had class in face-to-face environment before.
Yes.
Okay. So how would you say the students compared in terms of their success? In
It was about the same, really. Yeah. It was a pretty normal distribution. I think I had 3 or 4 A's and 3 or 4 F's and mostly B's and C's.
And so are you scheduled to teach this online in the fall or face-to-face?
No, face-to-face,
Okay.
fall and spring again, but we're already talking about running the online again next summer. So
As a 7-week.
actually, it's a good point. We may want to consider putting it online for spring or something. I'll have to talk to chair about that.
That'd be easier in terms of the time sequence of it all, to do it in a full semester and work through some of the things slowly
Yeah.
and try to cram it in again.
Right.
You'll have 4 full weeks, I'm sure, next summer.
So this is we offer multiple sections of this course in face-to-face. And one thing we're worried about is we don't want this one to be the one that all the students gravitate to because it's easier than the face-to-face, right? So one thing the students don't like in the face-to-face are the exams. So the midterm and the final, and where they just do terrible on them. So I'm bringing those discussions back to the others that teach the face-to-face just to say, hey, do we want to change our thinking about this course overall? Or do I need to change the way this is delivered online? Maybe a proctored exam or something like that. It's interesting.
So, but overall, the module reflections you think turned out pretty well?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they worked. And I mean, at least I felt like they covered. I mean, so even in a multiple choice exam, we've got the test bank, and it randomly chooses questions out of that bank. So no one student is getting everything, right? They're getting quizzed over a subset. In this environment, the one thing that they don't get is that in that multiple choice, they really, if they study, they have to study everything. With the journal entries, they don't have to study everything. They can just study those areas. So I really spent some time making those questions try to cover big chunks of the text content, which is what made me so difficult to rate.
The reflections were how much percentage of the grade?
Good question. So they got 5 points for every video they watched. They got 10 points for the matching, or 20 points for the matching exercises. It was 100 points for the journal entries, and it was 150 points for the specialty exercises, which were module dependent. So no, I
It was
would
about
say
30 to 40%.
yeah, roughly about 30-40%, something like that. Great question. Anything else? Anything from you online people? Or did we lose you because I minimized you?
No, I don't have any questions, but great job. I mean, very well organized and love the activities too.
Thank you.